going on, DJ Nation? Ken and Kim here, bringing you another Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast this week for the Wyndham Championship. Cambo is on vacation, so we have our resident fill-in, Ryan Baroff, with us this week. Ryan, what is up, my friend?
Happy to be back, Kenny. Been a while since we chatted, and happy to be here filling in for Tampa.
There you go. As you know, our podcast and our YouTube show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Use promo code MMN, and you can get a deposit match of up to $100. If you haven't played Prize Picks, go check it out. If you like parlays, that's the way to go. Everything's more or less, over or under, more or less. And you make your little 2, 3, 4, 5 Pearson parlays. It's fun. It's an easy, I wouldn't say it's an easy way to win money, but you can win a good amount with these parlays. So go check it out. Go check out Prize Picks. Get on that and use that MMN promo code. All right, so let's talk a little bit about last week's tournament. I did not watch. I will let you know. I watched a little bit in the first couple of days, and then Lee Hodges did this thing. I was going to watch all day Sunday. So I went to play golf in the morning. First off, usually I take like a 50 milligram edible before I go play golf, just to, loosen my fat ass up because I'm fat. And I need to get loose. Like the fat cells got to get loose and so they can, charge for the swing. And so like this week I was like, I only had 100 milligrams left and I didn't feel like cutting a hard candy in half. So I just went up and just popped 100 milligrams. That was probably a mistake. Went out, played golf, and I was paired with these two guys. And you ever get paired with a guy who is just too happy to be out there? Like golf, like it should be like a frustrating, angry type game. At least that's the way I play it. You know what I'm saying? When a guy out there is just so fucking cheerful, I wanted to slap the fucking shit out of him every time. I was playing so horribly. He got in my head, and so like I ended up just getting hammered. I took like 12 shots on the course. I was like, fuck this. I can't deal with this. Beautiful. I got to be. And by the time I was drunk, it was fun. I was like, I was being all, happy with them, But when you're like focused on your game and golf is a struggle, it's sort of annoying having that guy who's just always happy. So that's what happened to me. So I came home and I was planning on watching the rest of the tournament. But instead, I had 12 shots of liquor and I ate 100 milligrams of fucking THC. So my ass cooked a steak and went straight to bed. I went to bed and slept around 2 o'clock, woke up at like 6:30. And so the event was over. Lee Hodges won. Good for him. The fucked up thing about that is if you check my Twitter feed this past, I think, Thursday morning or Wednesday night, I'm going to start doing this every week because it's been happening so often. Lee Hodges was one of my last 2 players out of my player pool. I posted it on Twitter. I told Twitter, do what you must. I'm sure people played him and bet him based on that. That's probably the 3rd time this has happened this season where one of my final 2 out has won the event. It's probably been about a dozen times where one of those guys has finished in the top 10. So I'll be posting that on Twitter for you guys every Wednesday night. The guys I leave out, go ahead and bet those guys. You're probably going to win something. Ryan, did you watch the event at all? What'd you think?
No, but had a very similar experience. I think I watched the last 4 holes. I just wanted to see kind of how the course was playing at that point. It was pretty much over. I guess I think Poston got within 3, coming down the stretch, but no, pretty similar. I had put together this off the tee model early in the week. And I bet number 1 in that model, number 3 and number 4, who were Rye, Gim, and Glover. Number 2 is Lee Hodges. So very, very similar. He's a guy that I've been on quite a bit this year. Seems to have elevated his game a little bit, and he's extremely well-rounded, right? He drives the ball well, hits a ton of fairways, pretty good with the irons, pretty good short game, and just kind of saw this one coming. So props to him. That was a huge win to win by a touchdown.
Yeah, I sort of like that course. Like low-key, I like it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I'm a fan of there were a lot of triples. There were a lot of doubles. You could see a lot of blow-up holes there. I know people aren't like the biggest fans of it, and the scoring was a lot higher this year. The wind didn't pick up quite as much as it had the last 2 years. Any type of wind on that hole, on that course, though, it becomes a challenge This year we didn't see it too much, but like I think the first day, maybe like that afternoon wave on Thursday, you really saw guys really struggling in that wind. I think, if they get a little bit of breeze out there, I think they might have one more year left on their contract for that course. I'm not sure. But it could be a fun course and it could be tough. I wish I saw more of it because I do enjoy it. I did catch a little bit on Thursday and Friday, but didn't catch too much on the weekend. Anybody else really impress you? I know JT Poston, he's been playing excellent golf here recently.
Yeah.
What do you think about him going for that on 18 in 2? All he needed was a double bogey to get solo second and win, and he lost $290,000. But I think the biggest thing was, I think he went from like, if he stayed solo second, he would have been 38th on the FedEx Cup standings. Instead, tying, he's 49th, which is on the bubble for the second round, for the second event, the BMW Championship of the playoffs. Top 50 get in. Now, instead of being 38th, comfortably inside that top 50, he's going to have to grind a little bit the next couple of weeks. What did you think about that play? He's going for the win. I can't really hate on
I don't think
that,
so.
right?
I don't think it mattered that much. He wasn't going to win, fine, but he had shots to play with. He just had to make a 7. Even if you rinse one, he just has to go wedge, putt, putt, and he couldn't even do that, right? He chunked the second wedge, and then he 3-putted from the fringe. Like, that was the problem. It wasn't laying up versus not, because whether you lose the event by 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 doesn't really make a difference at that point.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's exactly what he was thinking in his head. He was like, okay, well, I have a 1% chance of winning if I go for it in 2, and I have still probably a 50% chance or more or greater of finishing solo second, even if I hit it 90, in that water.
Yeah, probably 95%. You just had to make a 7. That was pretty bad to watch. No, I mean, I think for the most part, a lot of the guys who we expected to play well played well. Finau, even though his finishes haven't been that good, like, he loves that course and the ball striking's still been good. Griot continues to play really well. I think a couple guys that I was really impressed with. So I think I was looking through this. There were only 2 guys who gained off the tee and approach all 4 rounds. One of them was Kevin Streelman, who I'm sure we'll talk about this week as well. The other one was Vincent Norman, who just seems to be just striking the piss out of the ball every week. He really didn't have any lull after the win. He played okay at the Barracuda and obviously played well last week. So he seems to be very good for what that's worth.
Yeah, you saw some signs of life from some old heads like Billy Horschel, who's been struggling. He came in there, played pretty well. Brandt Snedeker, really solid first couple of days. He's coming back from sternum rehabilitation surgery, which I have
sounds fucked, man.
I have no idea what that is. It sounds horrible, is what it sounds like. But him coming back. I mean, Zach Blair, another top 15, his second one in the last month. Dylan Wu, who I'm always a big fan of, becoming sort of a stat darling in all the models. He had a nice little tournament himself. So guys made some moves of trying to get their way into the playoffs, which start next week. And of course, that's going to be a big sort of narrative when we talk about this week's Wyndham Championship. But before we get on, anything else about the 3M before we move on?
No, let's do it.
All right, so let's go with the Listener League winner from last week. He is Gizmo the Legend with the Jack Nicklaus meme as his avatar. He had Mr. Tony Finau, of course, who finished 7th. He was 14% owned. JJ Spawn, 6% owned. He finished in 37th. Big Bo Hostler with 8 straight birdies to end his day last week. That probably really moved Gizmo the Legend up the leaderboard on the final day. Finished in 13th place, 6% owned. Seaweed Doug Gim, who I really liked and I thought had a chance for some placement points, didn't really pan out on Sunday. He was 19% owned. He finished in 27th. Aaron Rye, who had another decent showing out there. He finished in 20th. He was 12% owned. And of course, he had the winner, Lee Hodges, 5% owned in the listener league. Of course, he won the event. What'd you think of the lineup?
Solid. I mean, I think fewer people landed on Lee Hodges than I thought they would. He's been a pretty popular play this week, so that was great. I was all in. Doug Gim was probably, I think I locked him. I only made 10 teams last week, but I think I played 100% Gim. So that first round was pretty crusty, but then just played great after that. He's been a print fest in the top 30, top 40 markets recently. So yeah, no, great team. I think Finau was very under-owned too. A lot of people went to Sanjay, maybe rightfully so, but class played out there with Finau with the course history. So solid team.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, so I switched all my leads. So I had 20% Lee Hodges and 20% Doug Gim. And I was like, you know what? 20% of Gim is not going to be enough. Let me go ahead and shift all these Lee Hodges to Gim, and that was a mistake.
Incorrect. Yeah.
That was a mistake. So good for Gizmo the Legend. He will be in our 4-man this week with Tambo, me, and Mr. Baroff. So I'll send the invite to you here later this evening. So let's get to the course. All right, so the final event of the PGA regular season is upon us as golfers head to North Carolina for the Wyndham Championship. The event is the last chance for some to get into the top 70 and secure their card for the FedEx playoff run. And again, remember, top 50, everyone who makes it to the BMW Championship is eligible for the designated events in 2024. So these playoffs, real big deal. Getting that top 50, huge deal. Top 70, secure your car. So that's what it's going to be. So if you look at the people outside the top 70 right now, and this is all, this is going to be a big topic of discussion throughout the entire week. You got Ben Taylor, Higo, KH Lee, Lingmerth, David Thompson, Shane Lowry, Woodland, Justin Saw, S.H. Kim, Justin Thomas, all Adam Scott, all these guys are in the event this week. They're trying to get into that top 70, and they're trying to make the playoffs. Now, the main trend you see here on this course, year in and year out, is the course history factor. Course history correlation, very high at Sedgefield Country Club. You often see the same golfers at or near the top of the leaderboard year after year. Elite iron play from 150 to 175, maybe a little bit of wedge play as well. Also going to be needed. Accuracy off the tee, really, and putting your ass off on these Bermuda greens. That's what you're going to have to look for in golfers this week. Now, to the meat of the course, Sedgefield Country Club, 7,150 yard par 70 course designed by Donald Ross. The course has 4 par 3s, 2 par 5s. Both the par 5s are reachable by most and are the 2 easiest holes on the course. 8 of the 12 par 4s are in the 400 to 450 yard range. This course is not very lengthy, but there are a couple of long par 3s, and there are 2 par 4s that play over 500 yards, with 18 being the most difficult hole on the course at 507 yard par 4. This course is routinely, on one of the easier courses on tour, with an average winning score of around -17. Off the tee, golfers are going to see average sized tree-lined fairways with light rough and just a few fairway bunkers. Over 70% of all drives land on the fairway, which is well above tour average. This is most likely due to the fact that a lot of golfers take less to driver here off the tee. You don't have to be a bomber. This course definitely brings everybody into play. Now, having the correct angle to attack the pin is of great importance at Sedgefield Country Club, especially because of the undulated and sloped greens. Placement, accuracy off the tee seems to be more important than length, and wayward drives could cause problems for golfers. Even though the rough isn't crazy long, it is Bermuda rough. So it's going to be sort of that snatchy type of flyer lie type rough that you normally see. And distance control is always a problem from trying to hit approaches from the Bermuda rough. Now, here's a telling stat. Just important how important hitting fairways here is. The green and regulation percentage from the fairway is over 80%. The green and regulation percentage from the rough is right around 50%. Okay. So as far as some of these guys hit the ball off the tee nowadays, even without a driver in hand, it should be much easier for them to hit the greens with a wedge than these stats indicate, especially if conditions are soft. Now, of course, people are going to be aggressive. They're going to do their thing. But honestly, off the tee, driving accuracy is probably something you're going to be focusing on this week a lot more than length. Now, on approach shots, golfers are going to see small to average size greens that slope from back to front quite heavily. Hitting it below the flag is going to be super important. Some of the greens are multi-tiered, which makes the aiming point a lot smaller on approaches. The edges of the greens are crowned with large collection areas waiting for golfers who miss. Bunkers surround some of these greens, but most are shallow and fairly easy to get out from. And there is water in play on a few holes, not like last week. The greens themselves are Bermuda grass, Stimpmeter rating around 12. These greens, of course, seem to be the major defense of the course, as there are a ton of 3-putts here. The Wyndham Championship has played on this course since 2008, but the greens were switched from bent to Bermuda in 2012. So, that's when you want to start looking at course history. And like I said, course history, very prevalent at this event. Ryan, what are you looking for in golfers this week? What kind of games?
Guys who can hit irons.
What's up?
Guys who can hit irons. Yeah.
There you go.
No, I think you nailed it. It's definitely call it a plotter's course, whatever you want, but comp courses, of course, RBC Heritage, CPC Sawgrass, those sorts of layouts. You mentioned that this track has very sticky course history, right? I think you obviously tend to see the same guys playing well here, and just the same guys who have played here a lot. And I think that's one thing that I look at. It's not just who plays well here, but like how often do they come back to this course, right? Like I've seen guys who haven't played here in 4, 5, 6 years, and maybe it's because they'd already qualified for the playoffs and wanted a week off. Sure, but if there's a course that you really like, you're going to go there and play every year, right? So I'm definitely looking at that. We'll obviously talk about Sedgefield Kim, but I think you see a lot of course history like that here.
All right, well, let's get to these tiers. All right, so the first question I got, you got Sam Burns all the way to Sung Jae.
Mm-hmm.
Can you fade this entire range?
You can.
I mean, is it something that you can see as a strategy to go this week? Because there's a lot of question marks from these 10K guys.
So I'll say this. I would fade Sung Jae this week, only because I think he's still going to get a lot of ownership, right? He's the highest priced, has really good course history. He was obviously popular last week, and people are going to be okay going back there. But I have Russell Henley as the best player in this field right now. So the fact that you can get him, for the third highest price salary, obviously has elite course history, which I really didn't even factor in too much. I'm going to have a hard time staying away from Russell Henley this week. And he's not overly expensive. Like you can still easily get another 9K, even upper 9K guy with Russell Henley. So if I was going to play one, it would be Henley. If I had to play two, it would be Henley and Matsuyama.
So Henley's my favorite play in this range as well. We are thinking alike here. I'm a big fan, of course, the iron game, the course history. You went through it. He is my favorite play. I don't hate fading this range. I mean, I like some of these 9K golfers. Mm-hmm. My highest price golfer in cash is $9,200 this week. So, I could see people using that strategy, and I wouldn't go against it because, there's question marks with Sung Jae. The game just isn't there. Hideki, he's so hit or miss. He looked really good the first couple of rounds last week, or the first round, really. He was near the top of the leaderboard and then was like 200 for the rest of the 3 days. I don't know what he was doing. Burns is interesting. Burns is interesting. I really am curious of what his ownership is going to be. If it's low, he's going to be someone I use just because of his putting prowess, especially on Bermuda greens. It's his best surface to putt on. He's an excellent putter. You can make this sort of a putting contest, and that's something that he can win. So I do like Sam Burns, but my favorite play is Russell Henley. That's the guy I'm going to be playing the most. Me and Baroff, we're on the same page. Now, when we get to this 9K range, I'll go ahead and start. Two of my cash game cornerstones are going to be here. First one's going to be JT Poston. The guy's just playing, 3 top 10s in his last 4 events, or something like that. The guy's playing really exceptional golf. He's had solid finishes at this event in the past. He's had a couple of miscuts too, so that's a little bit worrisome. But the way his game is going, I really do like Poston this week. Really good on par 4s. And again, the form is there. So that's what I'm looking for Mr. Poston. Again, he almost won. Also, Bermuda, one of his better putting surfaces. I did actually get to meet JT Poston once. It was at a scramble where you got to hit a par 3 tee shot with him, and if you beat him, you got some type of prize. And I hit mine, 25 feet. He hit his 3 feet. It was about 145 yard par 3. So, and there's a couple of those here, so he's probably good at those. I'm a fan of JT Poston. He's going to be my first cash game cornerstone. My second cash game cornerstone is going to be Siwoo at 9,000. The guy has 4 top 5s in his last 5 appearances here. His 2 missed cuts recently have both come on link style courses. I'm not even going to look into that. I got no problem. Prior to that, his form was fine. He actually comes up as like top 5 in my model. Really good from 150 to 175. Of course, he hits a ton of fairways, well above average in par 4 efficiency from 400 to 450 and strokes gained par 4. So those 2 are going to be my cash game cornerstones, both in the 9K range. I like Shane Lowry here in the 9K range. He has a lot to play for. So there's a lot of these guys. But, this guy is a major winner. I think he can sort of bump up to the next level when he has to, especially in a field that's not strong. And the game is there. He's had a top 10 finish at the Wyndham Championship before. He's had an up and down history here, but he's had a top 10 finish at this event. Of course, his iron game, tee to green, top 5 both in this field. Again, good on those par 4s that I was talking about. He's my favorite GPP play in this range. How are you going about the 9K range?
Good. Finally, we have some opposite takes here. I agree with you for cash games. JT Poston is probably the safest play on the board here, for sure. Everything lines up for him. He's got the course history. Ball striking is coming around, and obviously is one of the best putters, has one of the best short games out here, which I think is overly important here. We saw it a little bit at the Travelers as well, where you're going to miss greens. These Donald Ross greens are very slick and very tricky, and not just to putt, but to chip also. So I do think that's really important. I'm going a different direction here in GPP. So my first bet of the week was Adam Scott at 33 to 1. I do think he is overpriced on DraftKings a little bit. So that should keep the ownership down for sure. Ball striking was really good at the Open. He finished about 30th, so nothing to write home about, but just seems like he's been close all year. He's putted great this year. The ball striking's been pretty solid as well. He had a 5th at Wells Fargo, 8th at Byron Nelson, 9th at the Memorial. So he's been close, and obviously he should have won here 2 years ago when he missed that 3-footer, which led to the big playoff. So Adam Scott, probably my favorite GPP play up here. And then I think I'm ready. to play Justin Thomas, 9,100. I don't think he's going to be quite as popular as he was last week. He doesn't have great course history here. Obviously, the stats are bad. I just feel like it's a better course for him where he can club down, play a little more accurate, hit a lot of wedges. It's a part of the country where he should feel more comfortable. So, you get a 9,100 JT at 9-10% owned. I think I'm ready to buy some this week.
I was going to ask you about you. I don't know, man. The guy's just.
I haven't played him in months, but I
me
feel
neither.
Like
and especially the way that he missed the cut last week, where he was well inside the cut line and a couple of doubles under pressure on the back 9. I mean, that
but he's going to be, half at most the ownership of Poston and Siwoo. So you can get some.
So from a game theory perspective, it makes a lot of sense because talent wise, historical talent wise, JT is leaps and bounds above both those guys. right? And then you're going to go ahead and get him maybe at half the ownership of them. Makes a lot of sense.
Well,
Now,
and I'm going to play some chalk too, so I have to get a little bit different there as well.
Yeah. So it makes a lot of sense. Now, do I do stuff that makes a lot of sense often? Probably not. Maybe that's why I don't see myself playing him this time. But like I said, from a game theory perspective, the way Ryan was speaking about it, it makes sense. It makes sense, especially with the people around him who are going to be chalky.
Yeah, well, and I'm going to play Russell Henley, right? And I'm not going to play Seawood Poston with Russell Henley. So, I think JT or Adam Scott's a good number 2 on the team.
All right, so let's go down to this 8K range. I have my other 2 guys in the cash game cornerstones in this 8K range. First off, it's going to be Denny McCarthy at $8,700. Of course, he's the best putter in the world, exceptionally good on Bermuda. Number first in DraftKings points in this field. But the reason I like him is how good he is on par 4s. Like, he's first in my model in strokes gained par 4s and par 4 efficiency from 400 to 450 yards. There's about 8 holes, par 4s from 400 to 400 to 450, maybe 6 to 8, something around there. Depends where they put the tee boxes. I'm a fan. He's had success here in the past. He's made a bunch of cuts. You have to expect the wins coming for him at some point in time. He's been super close this year. I did bet him 35-1 this week. I did bet JT Poston at 35-1. Those are probably the only 2 bets I'm going to have under 100-1 this week. I'm going a lot of bombs. I think the average winning odds of the winner here the last 10 years is like plus 50, like 150-1 is the average or something like that. So you can get your bombs here. But I like Denny. He's going to be my 3rd cash game cornerstone. My final cash game cornerstone is going to be Alex Smalley. Top 10 of both approach and tee to green in this field. A couple of top 30s. He's played this event twice. He finished 29th the first time, 13th the last time. His last missed cut was across the pond. Prior to that, 2 top 10s in his prior 3 events. I do like him a lot this week. He's going to be my final cash game cornerstone. So in the 8K range, cornerstones are done. So my 4 cash game cornerstones this week are going to be JT Poston at $9,200, Siwoo Kim at $9,000, Denny at $8,700, Smalley at $8,100. Still leaves you $15,000 to finish out the rest of your other 2 lineups. So plenty of money. You can go back up to the 8K range, even if you'd like, and then have another 6K, or you could even it out with a couple of mid 7K guys. However way you choose to do it, you still got plenty of room to make your decision. Now, other guys, for GPPs, I sort of like the 2 guys I like Aaron Rai. I'm worried about his popularity because that guy's boom or bust. Aaron Rai can miss a cut with ease. If he's going to be one of the top 5, top 10 highest owned golfers in this field, could be worth a fade. Just depends how much you really like him. I'm on the edge that even if he's in the top 10, I still might play him because everything looks so good. He is actually ranked 1st in my model. Maybe my model's fucked up. I don't know. But he is my number 1 ranked golfer in my model this week. His iron game has been exceptional. Tee to green, very good. Par 4s, excellent. One of the best from 150 to 175. I'm not fading him. I lied. I am not fading Aaron Rai. I am going to play Aaron Rai, even if he's going to be one of the top 10 highest owned. He is a chalk that I am going to eat. I just talked myself into it in the middle of the pot. So I like him. I like this 8K range. Cam Davis is interesting. Chris Kirk is interesting. Adam Hadwin is interesting. We'll see where I go with it, but you got my 2 cash game cornerstones. You got Rye. Who do you like in this range?
So we're pretty aligned here. There's a lot to like here. So I bet Denny, I bet Rye, and I bet Alex Smalley this week. Smalley is probably the easiest argument to make. Obviously, we know he lives in Greensboro. I believe this is his home course. Obviously, very comfortable here, as he's shown with those 29th and 13th place finishes. He's been one of the best iron players all year. I am very willing and happy to overlook one bad Scottish Open after the heartbreak at the John Deere, which he probably should have won that, right? If Straka doesn't go out and shoot 9 under on Sunday, he probably has that one. So yeah, Smalley makes a ton of sense. I agree on Denny. I just think if he's going to win one, it's going to be this type of event, right? It's going to be a putting contest, a shorter course. The obvious concern with Denny is he's not as strong of an iron player as all the rest of these guys. So you just got to hope the putter.
But he's not horrible.
He's not horrible.
Like he's top 20% around in this field.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
Not bad, no. And then, I mean, Aaron Rai, you mentioned. So I've been beating the drum on him as a Ryder Cup pick. I still think he needs to win or do something. And then he's probably going to go over to Europe and play a little bit after the playoffs. I think he does need to do that.
Is he in the playoffs? Is he comfortably in?
He's comfortably into the first event. He's like in the 60 range, I think.
Yeah, so, he's 61st.
Yeah, so he'll probably only play one unless something good happens. But
I mean, his game seems like it would fit perfectly for the Ryder Cup over in Italy with tight fairways. He's one of the most accurate guys.
Data Golf likes him as well. I expect him to go over and play the BMW over there and potentially the Omega European Masters. So we'll see. Now, my only concern with these guys, like I think they're all good plays. Jaeger's a good play, right? Cam Davis is a good play. So I think the ownership's going to be spread, with the exception of I think Denny's going to be super popular. And so again, like when you look at how you want to build these teams, like Henley, Siwoo, and Denny are probably 3 of the most popular plays. So you can't put them with, you know, Smalley, and then you can't put them with, like, you can't play them all. So you got to make some choices there. But I
think if you play those 3 and play single digit own the rest of the guys, I think you'll be fine.
Well, yeah, like I don't think people are going to dip down too far. Like you could play 4 of them, but then you're down in the 6s, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I'm going to play 2 of them, play Justin Thomas, maybe grab 1 or 2 more low-owned guys, and then you can probably get like a Rye or a Cam Davis in there as well.
Yeah, I think you can make an argument to play every single one of these AK guys. I'm a huge fan of this area, but of course, you know, the 2 guys I'm going with, Rye is going to be my favorite GPP player, but you can, you can make arguments for each and every single one of these guys in the 8K range.
For sure.
All right, let's go to the 7K range. Why don't you go ahead and get us started here, my friend? Are you going back to the well with Mr. Woodland?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Right. So because he was one of my favorite plays last week, and he shot like 4 over for the event. I had like 40%.
It was a weird spot. He just doesn't have it right now. I mean, the ball striking is still great. He's probably number 1 in all your ball striking models. So I think there's a lot of interesting stuff here. I'm going to start with the one guy that I bet in this range. We talked about last week and who burned everybody. It was Lucas Glover. Lucas Glover missed the cut by 1. Well, something on the number, right? He shot 3 under for the 2 rounds. He gained off the tee. He gained approach. Like, I am not worried at all about that miscut last week. He's coming off a 5th at the Barbasol, 6th at the Deere, 4th at the Rocket Mortgage, and 20th in Canada. So he's dialed. And if you look at how he's played here, like the results don't look that good. He's got a handful of top 25s, 1 top 10, but his ball striking here has been off the charts. He pretty much gains approach and off the tee every single year that he's played here. And he's played here about 15 times, right? Like, it's a course that he loves, obviously from South Carolina. I just think there's no reason to go away from him. And now he's $800 cheaper than he was last week. So I'm going to have a lot of Lucas Glover. I think the big decisions for everybody are going to be that range of Spawn, Norman, Akshay, Eric Cole, and English. I think those 5 guys all make a lot of sense, all going to be fairly popular. So I'm going to take who I think is going to be the lowest owned one, who I mentioned earlier, in Vincent Norman. I think people are going to be afraid of the course fit because obviously he doesn't putt as well. He's not as good of an iron player as some of these other guys, but I just think he's the best talent in this range.
He just finds a way, right? I mean, you look at his numbers.
I think Akshay eventually will be better than him, but like right now, I think Norman's the best player in that range. And if he's going to be the lowest owned, I am happy to go there this week.
Yeah, I mean, he's a horrible putter. Doesn't really hit too many fairways. really
Nope.
not great at like
Not
the
at,
par four.
he's not at all what you're looking for this week.
Yeah,
No.
and then you look at that, then you see his DraftKings points, and he's 6th in this field. And you're like,
Yep.
how is that possible with
He
the
just hits
way?
it so far, and he
Yeah,
hits a lot of really good shots. So
I don't know if I can get on Norman because, of course, if it doesn't fit for me, but it's somebody that I could, I might have to piggyback off of you. We'll see. But I mean, I think Oxjay has a lot to play for, right? I mean, he's sort of, bitter. Rumors about him being super bitter about not getting those points, not after his win, talking to live officials to move over to live. Some rumors that I've heard. Don't know if they're true, just rumors.
But he's probably got to win. Like he's pretty far back.
He has to win.
Yeah,
I think he has to win. I think he has to win or top 2 or something like that.
Yeah, he's pretty far back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's I don't think his motivation is the playoffs. I think it's just he's pissed off.
Yeah.
He's like, I won an event. Why the fuck am I not in the FedEx Cup playoffs?
Correct.
So I mean, rules are rules, I guess. But it didn't really work out too well for him. I mean, I'm willing to give Billy Horschel another run. If he found something in his game, this is the course that he loves. I can get back on him. Thomas Dietrich is interesting. I think no one's going to play him. He's one of the guys that you can get extremely low owned.
Mm-hmm.
I think, in my opinion, especially with all the names around him that you said that are going to be popular. Dietrich's just so hit or miss. You don't really know what you're going to get. It's going to be a boom bust. But when it comes down to it, like when it comes to par 4s, he's like one of the best out there. And there's 12 of them this week, on this course. So he's someone that I am looking at. I do like your Glover call. I wouldn't mind ending my cash lineup with a Glover Hubbard combo right there at that $7,500 mark. I don't hate that. Now going down a little bit, Brendan Todd had a pretty good finish a couple weeks ago. This seems like, accuracy-based course off the tee. This seems like somewhere where he can succeed. Justin Suh just, the numbers aren't really there. The stats aren't really there, but he makes a ton of cuts, and the talent is there. Like when he came out with Hovland and Morikawa and those guys, and he was supposed to be in that group. We haven't really seen it yet, but he's becoming more consistent here on tour. He's made a whole bunch of cuts. He had a really long stretch where he made like 7 of 8, 8 of 10, or something like that. Earlier this year. So I do like him again. Another guy who's good from 400 to 450 yards. Other guys that I'm going to play, I can't get off Doug Kim. I mean, $7,400. The ball striking is still there. At some point in time, I think he's going to go and have a really good showing on top of a leaderboard on the final day. Everything just seems like it's there for him for the taking. He hits a ton of fairways, really good from 400 to 450, really good from 150 to 175 with his, short irons. I like Seaweed Doug. Kevin Yu down here at 7,000 had a good showing last week. Sort of, he had that really good run and then had like a quad or something, or back-to-back doubles to really bring him down. But skill level, it seems like it's there. Really makes a ton of birdies. You're going to need some birdies on this course. Like I said, average winning score -17. That means you're going to have 22 to 24 birdies here to win this event. He's a guy that can pull that off, I think, on a course that's this easy. Chesson Hadley, again, another guy who loves this course, plays this event every year, makes the cut almost every year. He's actually, I think he's made 2 of his last 3 cuts on tour. I do like Chesson. Who in his bottom range do you like?
Yeah, I think there's some good options here. I think you mentioned some guys who are going to be popular. I expect Hadley to get ownership again. People were playing in the last 2 weeks. It's been popular showdown play. 100% think Doug Gim is going to get a lot of ownership this week. A couple guys that I do really like: Kevin Streelman, not a very fun guy to play at all, but obviously finished second last week, gained off the tee and approach all 4 rounds. You don't see that done very often. And Streelman's been okay this year. Like the iron play has really been pretty elite. I guess pretty much since the Masters-ish. Has 2 top 7 finishes here at the Wyndham. Just feels like a good, safe play if you're looking for a guy who can just make a cut. Ben Griffin, again, just been really solid this season with the irons. We saw he finished 4th here last year. Another local kid. I think he makes a lot of sense here. One very deep dart throw here. I do think he's a little bit overpriced in this range. Nick Lindheim at I think he's either set.
I've heard people talk about him. I don't remember him very often.
We played him years ago. You know, he had
the name sounds familiar, but I can't.
He had a PGA Tour card in like 2016, 2017, maybe through 2019. But so a couple things about Lindheim. So recent form, he's gone 8th, 27th, 3rd win in his last 5 events. The win being the most recent one. He's won multiple times on the Korn Ferry Tour. He has a couple top 10 finishes on the PGA Tour. So again, like not a guy who's going to win, but I did look at a couple of the comp courses there. He had a 4th place finish at the Korn Ferry event that was at TPC Sawgrass. And so again, just kind of interesting there. And at the Boise Albertson Open, which is the last event there in the Korn Ferry Tour finals, short course, small greens, just seems to be that type. And he is a Bermuda guy, lives in Florida still. So he's going to be like 1% owned if you're just looking for a random dart throw there.
All right, well, let's get to the 6K range. You're sort of grasping at straws when you get down there. But the first guy I see is Dylan Wu at $6,900. The stats all work out. Tons of birdies, lots of DraftKings points. Good from 400 to 450. Iron game strong. Tee to green good. He makes a lot of sense. Really good finish last week. Inside the top 10, maybe top 15 finish last week. He's one that I'm looking at up top. If you're going to go just a CT Pan, another guy that I do like. If you go with the Heritage comp, of course, a short course sort of guy that I can see doing well at this event. So I do like CT Pan. Like a Brant Snedeker, like he showed a little something in the beginning of the event last week at the 3M Champions, 3M Open. He's played this course well. Maybe he's over his injury and he could do his thing. You know, at that price, like 6,500, 6,600, I'll take a risk, 10%. You know, no one's going to play him. You know, I'll just take a risk on him. Zach Blair was on a top 15 last week. You know, following up from his runner-up about a month ago. You know, a guy at $6,400 who has a 2nd and a 13 in his last 4 events. You might as well throw him in there for 10%. And then Max McGreevy down here at 6,400, finished 5th last year. He played decent last week, I think top 30. He's someone that I can look at, you know, again, down here, whose numbers aren't going to pop the page, but, you know, you're going to get him at 2% off. Who do you like in the 6K range?
Yeah, so there are, I'll try and go off the beaten path a little bit here. There are 3 guys that I circled here in this range. So one of them, born in Raleigh, went to Clemson, has a 3rd and a 21st here in Doc Redman. He has found some stuff lately. Now, if you look at the results, they're not great. There's a lot of miscuts, but there's a 30th last week. There's a 9th at Barbasol, 30th at Byron Nelson. Irons have been pretty solid for the most part. We know that he can spike. So, you know, you're talking about a guy at 6,800 who's about 250 to 1. I do like Redmond this week. The second guy at 6,700. So this is a long-term form play. Scott Stallings, guy made the Tour Championship last year, right? Best year of his career, and now is just kind of fallen off. But if you look at the numbers, everything has been good except for the putting. He's putting like Luke List. Like that's what's happening here. I do think he'll be comfortable here. He's played this course a ton, made most of his cuts, has a 14th and a 13th here. Loves this part of the country, right? He went to high school in Tennessee, played college golf there. He played mini tours in Charlotte on the Tar Heel Tour for years. I just think he's too good to be at this price in this field. And then the last guy would be Ryan Gerard. We've been playing him a lot in these opposite field events. He's another guy. He lives in Florida now, but he went to North Carolina, so I'm sure he has played here and spent some time here. Just finished 5th at the Barracuda. We know he was 4th at the Honda. Like, he's made a ton of cuts, 6 of his last 7 cuts. I just muted myself, sorry. For 6,600 on a course where he's probably played before, I will take a chance there on Ryan Gerard.
All right, that sounds good. The thing is, when you start the podcast at 4:30 on a work day, I've gotten like 37 work emails during this podcast. So I apologize if you guys have been hearing the dinging over and over again. We'll record this a little bit earlier than usual. I should still be at work, and my boss might kill me because I'm not going to fucking pay attention to any of these goddamn emails till tomorrow morning. All right, so bets for this week. My betting card this week consists of Mr. JT Poston at 35-1, Denny McCarthy at 35-1, Dylan Wu 125-1 with 8 places each way, CT Pam 175-1, 8 places each way. Aaron Badley, his course history here sucks, but he played pretty damn well last week. We've seen him near the top of the leaderboard here a couple of times in the last few months. For 200-1 plus 8 places, I'll take that. And Max McGreevy at 400-1 with 8 places.
Those are long for sure. I kind of went with the chalk. So I got Adam Scott 33-1, took Denny at 35, Aaron Rye at 45, Alex Smalley at 66, and then Lucas Glover at 90.
All right, so one and done, I'm going Denny.
Yeah, I doubt that I would have him left. I would have to check. So if I'm going off the board, I definitely have Alex Smalley left. So I'm going to go with Alex Smalley here.
There you go. All right, anything else? That was a nice quickie. That's the way I like it. Nice and quick.
Yeah,
Pound it out, bounce. Pound it out, bounce.
One other.
That's my game right there.
Yeah, one other bet that I have for this week, Henrik Stenson at the Live Greenbrier. If you have access to that, he opened at 40-1.
I saw that. It's a 30 right now. I still bet him at 30.
Still, he was the best Live guy at the Open, and he's got a bunch of top 5 finishes recently, and we have seen him win on that tour.
Yeah, at the Open Championship, Stenson was in my cash lineup until I decided to change him for Ewan Ferguson for some fucking reason.
He beat all those guys there. Why can't he beat him here, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's at the Greenbrier. All right. So yeah, nice and quick. That's the way I like it. Not Tampa, my bad. Ryan, tell them where they can find you.
Yes, sir. Baroff427 on Twitter. And I put the card out this afternoon. And best of luck this week to everyone.
You can find me on Twitter at KendoVT. You can find my article on gupscorner.com. Should be up later this evening. Use promo code Kenny. Save yourself 30% on a membership. Football season's coming up. The football crew over at Gups Corner, amazing. The tools over there, amazing. Go and check it out. All right. So, final event of the year. Whatever. We're going to degen it no matter what. Like I said, pound it out quick and bounce. Let's win some motherfucking money. Degen Nation.
I've been getting dirty money, Jordan Belfort, stacking penny stocks.